A quiet, modern kitchen where the dark echoes of history sleep inside a tiny, fragile jar. We push beyond the wrinkled skin, discovering a brutal world born in ancient, misty shadows. The ancient Malabar coast breathes heavily under monsoon rains, nurturing the seeds of a global obsession. A fragile vine clings to giant ancient trunks, pulling wildlife from the shadows of the canopy. Deep within these unforgiving tropical forests, nature hides a treasure more valuable than solid pure gold. Innocent green berries emerge from the damp earth, completely unaware of the blood they will soon spill. But wild nature demands a cruel, bitter sacrifice before giving up her most heavily guarded, aromatic secrets. Rough human hands rip the green clusters away, beginning the violent and unforgiving cycle of dark transformation. Spread across woven mats beneath a merciless burning sun, the fragile green berries begin to quietly suffer. Watch the smooth green skin contract and slowly shrivel, surrendering its inner moisture to the harsh, blinding heat. Days of relentless solar torture bake the quiet harvest, slowly concentrating an immense power within these tiny vessels. The tender flesh collapses into a hardened, wrinkled shell, locking a sharp, fiery bite deep inside the darkness. Now fully dried and painfully reduced in physical size, the true black gold is finally ready for the world. A pungent, sharp aroma rises from the dark pile, a dangerous scent that will soon conquer vast, distant oceans. Leaving the wild, ancient coastal shadows far, far behind, this humble dried fruit sails toward a destiny of greed. The blazing tropical sun climbs higher, casting long, merciless shadows across the golden, drying fields. Close up on a single green berry, struggling desperately to hold its remaining water before yielding. Vast woven plains stretch endlessly outward, a sea of emerald green destined for black treasure. The smooth outer skin begins wrinkling, forming deep, dark valleys across its shrinking, round body. Ancient farmers walk among the harvest, their bare feet shifting the drying mounds with care. A drop of green juice evaporates, leaving behind a sharp, biting essence of natural fire. Winds from the distant Arabian Sea sweep over the dying harvest, carrying heavy, spicy scent. The intense heat bakes the core, transforming innocent sweetness into a harsh, bitter, black bite. As the long day slowly ends, millions of drying berries turn darker against twilight skies. Every wrinkle is a painful scar, born from the brutal heat of merciless, tropical suns. Torches are lit across the fields, guarding this precious dark harvest from hungry jungle nights. The final trace of moisture vanishes, leaving a solid, rough sphere packed with hidden power. Shadows dance over the woven mats, where green life has fully surrendered to eternal spice. A perfect black peppercorn now rests, carrying the silent history of brutal suns inside it. The vast Indian coast now waits, ready to send this dark gold across distant oceans. The dark wild harvest travels far, reaching the grand marble heart of the Roman Empire. Once an ignored wrinkled seed, now resting on polished silver plates demanding ultimate respect. Bustling ancient markets smell of greed, where foreign merchants trade dark spheres for pure gold. A heavy golden Roman coin rests beside a tiny shriveled berry sharing equal value. But grand empires inevitably fall, as barbarians surround the glorious city demanding heavy blood. The shadow of total destruction slowly creeps across the cold stone, threatening innocent lives. King Alaric stands before Rome, offering mercy only for an absolutely staggering, dark ransom. A massive, heavy bronze scale groans under the terrifying weight of 3,000 pounds. The frightened, desperate citizens gather, pouring their precious black spice into giant, waiting sacks. Each wrinkled sphere represents life, buying another day for the fallen ancient Roman capital. Barbarian carts roll heavily away, carrying a fortune harvested from the distant Indian storms. The tiny dried tropical fruit has officially proven stronger than the mighty Roman sword. A devastated city silently weeps, stripped of its pride and its most valuable spice. Deep in the dirty ruins, one forgotten black seed remains hidden, holding ancient secrets. The fall of glorious Rome simply opens the golden gates for new, greedy merchants. Endless oceans of blazing, burning sand hide the grueling long journey of the precious, dark, golden spice. A heavy, tired camel hoof falls, crushing the dry, harsh earth beneath its massive, slowly moving weight. Arab merchants guard the dark secret, keeping the true, violent, ancient source completely hidden from wealthy Europe. An ancient, polished brass astrolabe turns, guiding the floating, silent treasure through the terrifying, deep, dark oceans. Bustling, crowded ports of the Levant welcome the exhausted, dusty travelers carrying the incredibly valuable, heavy bags. Thick, tight leather pouches are untied, revealing a dusty, pungent, forgotten treasure of pure, black, dried fire. The greedy Republic of Venice rises, building a magnificent, rich empire entirely upon tiny, wrinkled black seeds. Venetian merchant galleys cut the waves, returning to the quiet marble palaces with unimaginable, exotic, dark wealth. Grand, quiet canals reflect golden light, while greedy elite merchants calculate the enormous profits of tropical spice. Dark, heavy ink stains the ledger, recording an immense, silent fortune paid for bitter, imported tropical fruits. Secret cold vaults hidden deep underground hold mountains of dark black pepper under extremely heavy, strict guard. A single tiny, wrinkled, dried berry now dictates the massive, fragile economy of an entire greedy continent. Powerful aristocrats in fine silk garments trade the dark, rough spheres as if handling solid, pure gold. A silver royal spoon carefully measures, dropping the fiery, sharp dust onto a beautiful, expensive golden plate. The beautiful floating city grows wealthy, unaware that its absolute strict monopoly will spark violent global war. The heavy, dark taxation begins, demanding payment in the exact form of tiny, dried tropical fruits. A strict, quiet, wealthy landlord drops single black peppercorns slowly onto a heavy, rough wooden table. Entire, massive, green, earthly estates are legally traded for a mere handful of bitter, black spice. Dark, hot, red wax seals, burning a royal crest directly next to a single black seed. Wealthy, powerful European royal families offer mountains of dark spice to secure massive strategic marriage alliances. A beautiful, fine silk pouch overflows with expensive dark pearls reflecting the warm, gentle candlelight glow. Ancient, quiet, mysterious plague doctors grind the expensive dark seeds hoping to cure deadly medieval diseases. A heavy, cold iron pestle brutally shatters the wrinkled dark shell, releasing strong, sharp, healing aromas. Heavily armed royal city guards patrol the damp, freezing cobblestone streets, protecting incredibly valuable dark warehouses. A thick, heavy iron padlock secures a massive, rough canvas sack hiding untold imported tropical wealth. The intense, burning European hunger demands an endless, dangerous supply from the distant, mysterious eastern oceans. A single, fragile, dark sphere slowly cracks under the immense, terrifying pressure of extreme global greed. Quiet, ambitious royal court cartographers draw brave new ocean routes seeking a cheaper, direct, spicy path. A sharp, magnetic iron needle trembles wildly, pointing toward a violent and extremely dangerous dark horizon. Grand, magnificent wooden royal ships prepare to sail into the unknown, chasing tiny, bitter black seeds. The mighty ocean roars violently, swallowing fragile wooden ships chasing the dark, spicy tropical horizon. A rough, weather-beaten hand tightly grips a tiny black seed near the violently spinning compass. Desperate sailors step onto shores, finding entirely new, strange lands, searching for the ancient Indian pepper. A fiery red alien pod slowly replaces the sacred black wrinkled spheres in bewildered colonial minds. Other brutal fleets sail south, conquering the monstrous, terrifying, raging sea storms near the African Cape. Heavy brass cannons are loaded, pointing pure, destructive, deadly iron fury at the exotic eastern shores. The ancient, quiet Malabar coast finally wakes to the deafening, terrifying echoes of massive colonial guns. Sharp, lethal black gunpowder mixes, silently blending with the precious dark seeds on destroyed wooden decks. Ruthless, greedy megacorporations rise, building entirely new, vast, brutal empires to strictly monopolize the heat. A hot, heavy iron brand forcefully burns a ruthless corporate logo onto the rough hemp sacks. Massive foreign warships burn rivals, sinking local native wooden trading vessels deep into the dark ocean. Thousands of tiny black spheres sink slowly through the warm, heavy blood of innocent fallen sailors. Massive, imposing colonial stone forts cast long, terrifying dark shadows across the ancient spice trading ports. Heavy, rusted, cold iron chains bind the tired, bruised hands that harvest the painful, dark gold. Victorious fleets return extremely rich, carrying immense stolen dark fortunes born within the tragic burning kingdoms. The mighty British fleets arrive, bringing a new mechanical greed to the ancient tropical spice islands. A heavy brass corporate seal violently stamps the thick colonial papers securing absolute dark spice monopolies. Endless, dense, lush native forests are ruthlessly cleared to plant miles of profitable, bitter green vines. A heavy drop of sweat falls silently onto the freshly harvested dark, wrinkled, highly valuable spheres. Magnificent, modern, rich European capitals rise gracefully from the dirty blood of distant, conquered Asian lands. An expensive, silver mechanical grinder crushes the stolen dark seeds over a heavily decorated royal feast. Starving, exhausted, captive native workers carry impossibly heavy dark burdens under the blazing, brutal colonial suns. A deep, bloody, painful scar matches the jagged, rough wrinkles of the tiny, bitter, black fruit. Giant, dark, damp colonial warehouses overflow entirely with the spicy, pungent wealth of a broken continent. Cold, heavy, shiny silver coins clink loudly against the dark, shriveled berries, masking the distant screams. Vast, ancient, complex global maps slowly turn blood red as the Empire claims the spicy world. A single, dark, heavy droplet falls silently, completely coating the rough, dried shell of the spice. Once proud, mighty tropical kings fade quietly into the dark, forgotten shadows of brutal modern history. The once sacred royal treasure becomes common, cheap dust on every single modern civilized dining table. Generations of immense, deep sorrow remain forever locked within these tiny, dark, globally consumed, dried berries. The violent colonial empires slowly crumble, leaving behind an entirely permanently changed, dark, global, spicy landscape. A rusted, abandoned, heavy colonial coin lies silently next to a single wrinkled, dried black fruit. Massive, loud, modern steel cargo ships peacefully carry the once legendary bloody treasure across calm oceans. The deeply tragic and brutal past slowly grinds into perfectly fine, cheap, dark, common kitchen dust. Bright artificial lights illuminate endless shelves, displaying thousands of identical cheap glass spice jars for everyone. Deep within the rough, jagged wrinkles, quiet ghosts of forgotten, ancient fallen kings still silently sleep. A peaceful, quiet, modern family dinner completely ignores the massive, dark, violent oceans crossed long ago. The smooth, cold, transparent, curved glass perfectly traps a tiny, wild, tropical universe within its walls. The gentle afternoon sun slowly sets, casting long, warm, familiar golden domestic shadows across the counter. These tiny, dark, hardened, wrinkled spheres demand no more heavy ransom of innocent blood or gold. The loud, violent, deafening historical cannons finally fade into a deeply peaceful, modern, quiet, domestic silence. A simple, ordinary wooden jar lid securely seals away an epic, brutal history, forever from sight. The dark, brutal memories slowly vanish, leaving only a sharp, warm, bitter flavor on the tongue. A silent, completely forgotten miniature world patiently waits for another warm, gentle human hand to reach. The next time the pepper falls, remember the ancient, dark, terrifying oceans and respect the spice.